Have you ever walked through the narrow, rain-slicked alleys of London and felt the distinct weight of history pressing up from beneath your boots? We see the towering cathedrals and the regal palaces, but the true secrets of the city are buried deep, locked away in silence. Deep beneath the bustling modern thoroughfares lies a discovery that has baffled experts for many decades. It is a nameless, unmarked vault, constructed with a level of precision that defies the era of its supposed origin. When construction crews first breached the wall, expecting nothing more than decaying sewage pipes from the 19th century, they were met with something far more unsettling. Before them stood a chamber reinforced with stone blocks so perfectly fitted that not even a human hair could pass between them. There are no inscriptions, no royal seals, and no record of its existence in any municipal archive. Some believe this was a clandestine storage site for relics salvaged from the Great Fire, while others suggest the architecture bears a strange, pre-Roman signature, hinting at something much older that was meant to stay hidden. As you descend, the air grows thick, heavy with the metallic scent of damp earth and something far more ancient. It is not just the silence of the vault that chills you. It is the feeling that this place was never meant to be found, a deliberate void left in the center of a world that prides itself on knowing everything. What were they hiding? And more importantly, why go to such lengths to erase all memory of this hollow space from the maps of men? Could a single silent morning in the heart of the Siberian taiga rewrite everything we know about the laws of nature? Imagine the date is the 30th of June, 1908. Deep in the remote wilderness near the Podkamennaya Tunguska River, the sky literally splits open. A blinding light, brighter than a second sun, tears through the clouds, followed by a shockwave so violent that it leveled 80 million trees across 2,000 square kilometers. It was an explosion equivalent to 15 megatons of high-grade explosives, yet when researchers finally reached the center years later, they found a haunting anomaly that defies standard logic. There was no crater, no impact site, no fragments of a meteorite, no metallic residue, and no chemical signature of a fallen celestial body. Instead, the trees at the very center stood upright, stripped of their branches, resembling a forest of charred, ghostly telegraph poles. Some theorists suggest it was a miniature black hole or an antimatter collision, while others cling to the notion of a high-altitude atmospheric burst. But even if we accept the theory of a stony asteroid disintegrating miles above the Earth, the utter absence of physical debris remains an impossible silence in the records of science. What power could flatten a landscape of such immense scale while leaving the ground beneath it utterly untouched? As the wind still whistles through those silent, eerie trunks, one cannot help but wonder if something not of this world, or perhaps something entirely beyond our comprehension, briefly brushed against our atmosphere that day, leaving us with only questions that cold, hard physics refuses to answer. What if stone walls could hold onto the echoes of prayers whispered centuries ago, refusing to let them fade into the indifferent soil? Deep within the mist-shrouded crags of the Carpathian Mountains lies a monastery that time seems to have intentionally forgotten. Its name is whispered only in local folklore, a place where the air itself feels heavy, vibrating with an unseen, low-frequency hum. According to the ancient chronicles, this structure was built in the 12th century, yet the craftsmanship displayed in its vaulted arches defies the primitive tools of that era. When the last monks abandoned the site, following an event described only as a night of blinding, shadowless light, they left everything behind. Visitors who dare to approach the perimeter claim that the heavy bronze bells hanging in the collapsing belfry still ring out on moonless nights, despite the ropes having rotted away decades ago. It is not a chime of melody, but a jarring, metallic groan that seems to vibrate inside your very marrow. Some believe the geometry of the central chapel was designed to channel something from the earth itself, an acoustic trap for phenomena that science has yet to name. As you stand before the threshold, the silence is not empty. It is expectant, watching, and waiting. Why would a sanctuary built for divine solitude become a place that repels the very nature of peace? Perhaps the most unsettling fact remains the lack of dust within the inner sanctuary, as if something still walks the halls, keeping the stone polished and cold. Is it merely the wind playing tricks on the desperate, or is there a rhythmic pulse buried beneath the floorboards that still demands a witness? What if the history we were taught in school is merely a fragile layer of dust covering a truth far older and more profound than we ever dared to imagine? Deep within the vaults of historical archives, there exists a series of cartographic anomalies that defy every established timeline of human discovery. We are talking about maps created centuries before modern exploration, yet they reveal coastlines, mountain ranges, and landmasses that simply should not be there. Take, for instance, the infamous Peary Rise map, a masterpiece of 16th century cartography that captures the intricate geography of the Antarctic coast. But here is the chilling part. Those shores are depicted completely free of their modern ice sheets, exactly as geologists suggest they appeared millions of years ago, long before the dawn of recorded civilization. One theory suggests that these maps were not original works, but painstaking copies of ancient source materials, remnants of a forgotten global culture that possessed an intimate, aerial knowledge of the Earth. How could medieval navigators sketch the precise contours of a continent that was buried under 2 miles of frozen wasteland? Some believe we are looking at the ghostly footprints of a civilization that rose and fell in silence, leaving behind only these cryptic, ink-stained enigmas. As you trace the faded lines of these ancient parchments, you cannot help but wonder what else lies beneath the ice of our history, waiting for the shadows to finally shift and reveal the truth of what came before us. Imagine standing deep within the dense, suffocating greenery of the Diquís Delta in Costa Rica, where the air hangs heavy with humidity and the secrets of a lost age. You push aside a thick curtain of vines, and there it sits, a monolith of granite, shaped into a sphere so mathematically perfect that it seems to defy the very laws of nature. This is not a lone curiosity. Hundreds of these stone spheres, ranging from the size of a grapefruit to massive boulders weighing 15 tons, lie scattered across the landscape like discarded playthings of a titan. They were not polished by the rhythmic erosion of rivers or the gentle hand of wind. They were crafted, chiseled with a precision that should have been impossible for the people who once inhabited these lands. How were they carved with such absolute symmetry, and more importantly, how were they transported across miles of impenetrable jungle and uneven terrain without the aid of metal tools or wheels? Some archaeologists suggest they were status symbols, markers of territory or lineage, yet the lack of inscriptions leaves us guessing at their true purpose. Others wonder if they were celestial indicators, aligned to the stars in ways we have yet to map. They sit in silence, weathered by time, guarding a truth that vanished long before the first explorers stepped onto these shores. We are left staring at stones that feel less like geology and more like an unfinished message, a cold, hard riddle that refuses to give up its meaning, leaving us to wonder just how much we have forgotten about the capabilities of our own ancestors. Could an entire civilization simply vanish beneath the tides, leaving behind only whispers of gold and stone in the deep? For centuries, the story of Dwarka was dismissed as nothing more than a myth, a grand legend from the ancient Indian epics of the Mahabharata. It was said to be the majestic city of Lord Krishna, a sprawling metropolis built on the shores of the Arabian Sea, adorned with thousands of palaces made of crystal and silver. Scholars long assumed this was purely allegorical, a poetic construct of a bygone era. That was until the late 20th century, when marine archaeologists began to peel back the layers of the ocean floor off the coast of Gujarat. What they discovered turned history on its head. Beneath the churning, murky waters of the Gulf of Combat, they found massive sandstone walls, intricate foundations of rectangular structures, and stone anchors that defied conventional explanation. These were not just scattered ruins, they were the unmistakable remnants of a highly organized, grid-like urban center that had been swallowed by the rising sea thousands of years ago. The architecture suggests a sophisticated knowledge of engineering that should not have existed in that region at that time. Some believe that the sudden submergence was the result of a catastrophic tectonic shift, yet the precision of the surviving layout continues to haunt researchers. How did an entire culture master such complex planning? And why does the silence of the abyss feel so heavy when we stare at these submerged streets? As we map these silent, limestone avenues, one question remains. Were these people truly just early engineers, or were they guarding secrets that the ocean was never meant to surrender? The waves keep their counsel, and the city of Dwarka remains a submerged enigma, watching us from the depths of time. What if the most dangerous secret in history was hidden in plain sight, written in a language that technically does not exist? Imagine holding a book bound in yellowed vellum, filled with elegant, flowing script that looks almost like a human hand wrote it, yet not a single linguist, codebreaker, or historian on Earth can decipher a single word. This is the Voynich manuscript, a medieval codex that has haunted the halls of academia for over a century. Its pages are crowded with haunting illustrations, alien botanical specimens that belong to no known ecosystem, astrological charts pulsing with strange, unrecognizable celestial patterns, and nude figures bathing in interconnected green vats of liquid. It is a work of obsessive, deliberate craft, yet it defies every logical framework of human linguistics. Some believe it to be a sophisticated alchemical treatise from a lost sect, intended to guard secrets of life and death. Others suggest it might be a botanical guide from a forgotten civilization, or perhaps, as some skeptics argue, it is an elaborate, centuries-old hoax designed to deceive a wealthy patron. Yet, when you look at the complex structure of the syntax, it is far too consistent to be mere gibberish. The ink remains sharp, the vellum speaks of the early 15th century, and the mystery only deepens. If this was a language, why does it have no echo in any known culture? We are left staring at the page, feeling the weight of 1,000 years of silence, wondering if we are looking at a key to a door we were never meant to open. What if the most barren place on our planet is actually the guardian of a doorway to another era? We turn our gaze toward the desolate, bone-chilling plains of the Antarctic, specifically the region surrounding the Shackleton Mountains. It is a landscape defined by absolute silence and eternal frost, yet beneath these miles of pressurized ice lies a magnetic anomaly that has baffled geologists and explorers for decades. Scientists have detected a massive, dense structure buried deep within the crust, a formation that defies the chaotic randomness of tectonic plate movement. It is perfectly symmetrical, a geometric impossibility that seems to scream of intelligent design rather than geological coincidence. Some researchers suggest it could be a geological quirk, yet the sheer scale and placement of this anomaly align with ancient myths of a lost, southern cradle of civilization. As the polar winds howl across the ice fields, they seem to carry whispers of a time when this land was lush, temperate, and perhaps inhabited by those who possessed knowledge long since purged from our collective memory. Is this structure merely a natural curiosity, or does it serve as a sentinel, marking the remains of something that was never meant to be uncovered by the modern world? The cold preserves, but it also hides. If something truly lies beneath that frozen desert gate, the ice is keeping its secrets well, leaving us to wonder what remains silent in the dark, waiting for the permafrost to finally yield its last, shivering truth.